right? So once again, we're going to talk about the last section here, which is called filing forms. Now, once again, we talked kind of briefly about this, that you have to have the enhanced or assisted version of the payroll services in order to process filing forms. Now, what does filing forms do? Well, as you can see here, it is, even though it warned me that I'd be able to upload stuff, but I won't be able to process it. So this makes it easier for you to file your 940 as your 941s and your 943s, right? And what this does is it helps produce the W-2 form for you for this case. Now, of course, I don't have this sample file, only is the basic payroll services. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you, plus your book doesn't give you that much details into it. But as you could see, you could put all of your federal forms together and pile it in here, and it will help you process your W-2 forms that you can give to your employees, and as well as keep records for your company as well, okay? So this small section, unfortunately, again, it is more advanced level of usage of this because once again, QuickBooks is essentially a tax accounting type of program. It just makes it that much easier to file taxes. And this right here, filing forms, is one of those things that makes it easier for you to do. But of course, you have to pay for this process or pay for the services in order to activate it. Okay, so unfortunately, you don't have that. But for the basic, at least you're able to pay your employees and you're able to pay the liabilities that you owe. But you won't be, unfortunately, you won't be able to file forms. Okay, so that's a small section I wanted to show you there in regards to that. And we already went over payroll reports. So what I'm going to actually do is, because this is a sample file, I'm actually going to exit here. Okay, since this has a payroll services, I can't just turn it off and just do manual because it's a sample file. So I'm actually going to close this company. Oh, note. Cancel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this company. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the company file that we did yesterday, which was the PR setup, where we set up Katie, right? Okay, and here you go. It asks for a password, so you can do it that way, where you can go on the home page and double click on the file that you were using either last week or the day before. It gives you a list of all the things. You just double click on it instead of having to go through that same process where you have to click on open a portable file and et cetera, right? In this case, I can continue working on the same file if it is something that I did previously, okay? Again, this is Questiva 21, okay? And again, this is what we have here. And if you remember, we already set up Katie as an employee. So here you go. Here's some announcements here. All right. And I'm going to double confirm that just in case I didn't make any changes, right? It says right here, turn on payroll, right? I'm going to double check that my settings for payroll, okay, right, that I have the manual services on. In this case, I have full service payroll for manual payroll. Okay, I'm not subscribing to a online payroll or anything like that. Okay, I'm doing a manual payroll, and I'm gonna click OK. So in this case, I don't have a payroll center. Okay, that means if that's the case, then you have to be very responsible on how to make those payments to your employees by using the calendar here on QuickBooks. You can add stuff on there so you make mental notes or make reminders that, hey, don't forget to pay your employees. Okay, but in this case, since I don't have a payroll center, there's no way that I can pay my employees by going to my little employee center and be able to do anything like that. So I've managed employee information, print, enter time, and that is it. Okay, I can't do anything with this person, Katie. However, what you can do is, here is the easiest way. So again, since we turn on manual payroll, I am still able to pay my employees by clicking pay employees on my menu bar, or by simply clicking the pay employees on my homepage. And the only difference here is that I'm not going to be going through the center. I'm going to go straight to this window right here, and this is where I'm going to be entering in all the information accordingly. So again, let's go ahead and say, hypothetically, we're going to make a payment to her. Let's say the last paycheck she was supposed to receive was the 16th of September of 2021, okay? Or in this case, the 15th, and make her paycheck available for the 16th, all right? We're going to use checking, right? We have $17,000 in our bank, so yes, we have enough. And in this case, I can select Katie, right? Because I already set her up. Now, if I go ahead and pull up her information, because I already set up that she's a salary-based employee, right? And that she earns $60,000, this is set straight for me already. However, the only thing I don't have is all the rest of the information here, which is actually manually calculating all the federal taxes myself in order to go ahead and process it. As you can see right here, everything is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. The only thing that you see here is the gross pay, right? The medical insurance, the 401k deduction. In this case, I have to actually list it out here that my 401k deduction is going to be negative 2% or negative 4%, excuse me. Deduction is from the actual paycheck. And then, of course, what I'm going to earn here is 2% from the employer. Okay, so there you go. As you can see right there, it says that I have $100 from the from the employee deduction, and then down below here I have the employers responsible to pay 50. Okay. Now, of course, that means I have to manually calculate everything. So what I'm going to do here is, once again, since I'm using manual payroll system, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the table for this example here that this individual that I'm going to be calculating manual payroll, and this I'm using the percentage method, okay? And I do teach this in the accounting course. So for those who already took it, you guys are familiar. For those who will be taking it, this is the table that we're going to be using, which is going to be the W-4 form from 2019 or earlier. Now, of course, in the class, I teach you the 2021, but let's just do this example here because it's actually quite much easier to use the 2019 version. All right, because the 2019 version, once again, it's definitely more simplified and a lot more easier to understand. It's what we've been doing before, but this Katie right here, right? We said she's an employee since 2008, and she's filed W-4 forms in the past. All right, so in this case, I'm going to just use this example, right? But we will actually get to learn how to process the new 2020 versions of the payroll in the accounting class. So in this case, right, one withholding, right? Since we pay her twice a month, so she's under a semi-annually, right? So therefore, she's going to be subject to $179 per withholding. Okay, so I'm going to make that note in my Excel spreadsheet over here, right? That one withholding is going to be $179. Okay. And in this case, right, we know who Katie is. This is Katie Reynolds. Katie Reynolds. Okay. And marital status, we know that she's married. Okay. And that she claimed 2 withholdings from the previous time when we set her up. Okay. So therefore, her gross pay was $2,500. Okay. So how do we figure out what FITW is, which is the federal income tax withholding, right? We start out with their gross pay. the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to subtract out her total amount of withholdings. So in this case, right, we're going to subtract out, since she claimed 2 withholdings and it's going to be $179 per withholding, she gets to take out $358 from her paycheck, meaning that she is only subject to have taxable, she's only to have that's available to tax is about $2,142. Okay, so now we got to look at our table to figure out what is the number that she makes at least, okay, and what she makes but not over, okay? And then we're going to figure out what amount that the government's going to tax her for and for what percentage she's going to be taxed at, okay? So in this case, right, my number right now currently that is available for taxing is $2,142. So $2,142. So let's go ahead and take a look at our table, right? Because the table is going to ask you for specific things. It's going to be based on the pay period, the marital status, and how much she earns. So in this case, this is a weekly table, bi-weekly table. Okay, here you go, semi-monthly, all right? And now it's going to be based on, is she married or is she filing single? In this case, she's filing as married, all right? So she earned a total of $2,100 and something, right? So in this case, right here, she at least made $1,338, but less than but not over $3,885. So in this case, right, $1,338 and this number here. So that means if I follow the row here, for any money that she earns in excess, so that means the government lets her keep $1,338, right? That's her money. She gets to keep that. And any dollar that she's in excess is going to be taxed at 12%. All right? And the government is going to tax her $83 regardless. They're going to take that money away from her paycheck regardless of the amount that she earns. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So 1338 and so 1338 is what she can claim, right? It's 1338. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to calculate how much in excess she's going to have. So in this case, at least, right, is 1338, okay? So therefore, I'm going to subtract this amount out to get me a total of $804 in excess. So let me change this real quick. In excess, okay? So that means she earned $804 in excess, which we know in our table is subject to 12%, right? 12% in excess. So in this case, I'm going to figure out how much in excess she's going to make, which is going to be $804 times 12% to give me a total of $96.48 in excess. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at how much she is going to get taxed by the government regardless. In this case, $83 is what she's going to be taken away from automatically. So in this case, what I'm going to do here is that means her total FITW is going to be $83 plus this $96.48 to get a total of $179.48. Again, they're off by a little bit. That's because once again, the numbers that we were using for the previous example was for 2019. This is fast forward 2021. So in this case, the tax tables are different. So in this case, she's going to be subject to $179.48 worth of federal income tax withholdings. So Therefore, I can go ahead and plug that number in, saying she's going to be subtracted out 179.48. Okay? So again, income tax withholdings right here, federal withholdings, negative 179.48. Okay? And of course, Social Security, right? If you look at my table here, I've already made a reference that Social Security is 6.2% and Medicare is 1.45%. In this case, I can go ahead and just plug it in right here by using quick math. But for the federal income tax withholdings, there's much more to it than just plugging in numbers, right? You have to look at the table, look at what this is, look at what that is. So in this case, right, your Social Security and your Medicare is going to be based off your gross wages. So in this case, Katie here earned $2,500, so I just type in 2,500 times negative 6.2%. Okay, so in this case, that would be 0.062. Okay, and then that's going to give me a total of $155. Okay. Medicare, once again, is 2,500 times negative 0.0145%, okay, which is going to give me a total of $36.25, okay. I don't know what California withholdings are. I don't know what this one is, but at the end of the day, this is what she's subject to be in grand total for, a total of $19.65. Obviously, I don't have the information for California, okay? So that's how much she's going to get the paycheck from us is she's going to receive a check for $1,965, okay? So that's how you figure out the employee's taxes. You also have to contribute your section for the employer's taxes. So in this case, California unemployment, I believe in this case, we learned this as 3%, okay? So 2,500 times negative 0.03%, okay? Which gives you what, $75. We talked about Social Security being negative 0.62%, okay? Which is the $155. Okay, so in this case, and then we talked about Medicare being 2,500 times 0.145. So as you can see, I put negatives. It reverted it because in this case, it's not taken away. I'm adding it to my liabilities. Okay. And then, of course, I do that. And then federal unemployment is in our class, we learn it as 6%. So 2,000 times 0.6% is going to give me a total of $150. So again, this is the total taxes that the employer is responsible to pay for having Katie work for our company. So again, these numbers here, these percentages that I typed in, we will get to take a look at it in the accounting class. And those for who have taken this class, you know what these are, right? These are the standard numbers that I use in the class. So again, it's going to be subjective to when you work for a company and what percentages they use. But state is always going to be 3%. And then federal, in this case, we just use the maximum amount, which is 6%. All right. We already know what Social Security and Medicare is for. In this case, we're also contributing to the individual's 401k plan for up to 2%. Okay? So once everything looks good, then you'd go ahead and process the same exact thing. You're going to save and close, and you're going to click continue, right? And once again, once everything looks good, right, her gross pay is $2,500. The total taxes is $370. So therefore, her net pay is going to be a total of the $1,929. Right? And once everything looks good, we can go ahead and click make the paycheck or make the paycheck itself. And it's the same exact situation here where you click on print the paychecks, right? It's going to give you the same exact window, and it's going to notify your check register exactly the same way that you created a paycheck. It's not going to make an association that you wrote out a manual check. It will associate it the same exact way. The only difference here is processing it using a payroll services. It calculates everything for you, while manual, you have to calculate yourself. That's the only difference here. Okay. And of course, I can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I'm not going to waste my time to print another check out. Okay, because I already taught you how to be able to print those checks out again. Okay. And of course, yeah, that's it right there. And then, of course, you can also process making payments to your liabilities just the same exact way too if I were to click pay liabilities. But of course, you need to make sure that you set up your liabilities. Once again, we already did that through the payroll setup. But in this case, I didn't make the exact date on when I actually make the payment for. So again, it's going to look a little different. It's going to look like this, and then you click OK, and you process the paycheck the same exact way. Okay. Now, of course, that's the manual payroll. There is actually a small section I actually skipped out on, and that is what happens if an employee actually loses their paycheck and so on and so forth. Let's say, for example, right, I just wrote out a check out to Katie, right? Checking, okay. So I just wrote out a check out to Katie, okay? Right here. To Kate, oh wait, no, that's not it. To Katie Reynolds, right? I just wrote out a paycheck, right? Let's say Katie decides to go on with her day and she misplaces her paycheck and she loses it, right? In this case, yes, you're going to actually have to reissue another check with another number. And you're going to do the same process as what we did when we had to reissue another check for Mike. The only difference here is, well, I've already entered in all my information in there. This is what you have to do. So once again, you're going to click on that paycheck once again. So in this case, I haven't printed it yet. What's going to happen is because you already linked another, let's go ahead and just do that, right? What happens is that you're able to do it this way, or you could go through the payroll center, whichever way that you have. And what you're going to do is you're going to recheck mark that you're going to make this paycheck printable again. Okay? And of course, you're going to assign it a different number. All right? And then once you do that and you click OK, it's going to give you a message saying, hey, you just made changes to this. And you say yes. So that means you can go ahead and go back to your print forms and reissue out another check with another number. And you have to manually enter in another check with all the information in there, you know, just for gross wages, and void that check so then you know that she lost her paycheck and you reissued them another check. So again, it's the same exact way I showed you for Mike, except instead of making adjustments to it, she just lost her paycheck, so you have to reissue another one. And what you got to do is you got to call the bank and make sure that you void that check. Okay? So that's the same exact thing there. All right? It's the only thing I missed out on that last section there. Okay? But once again, that is how you do payroll. So once again, paying a payroll services is so much more easier than it is to just do it manually, right? Especially with the number of employees. If each individual person has their own specific case, imagine having to use that table multiple times, looking up for each individual person's W-4 form to tell them how much you want to withhold. It's a lot of work. So that's why oftentimes you see a lot of companies would pay other agencies or other professionals out there for professional payroll services. There are outsourcing out there available, or you can use Intuit, which is just a subscription that you pay just to make sure that you properly pay your employees correctly. Okay. Any questions in regards to chapter 11?
No.
Okay, if there's no questions, let's go ahead and go over the review questions. So I will go back a page. Okay. So once again, your task here is to make sure you select the best answer of which of the following. So number 1, okay, to properly affect the payroll items, okay, which functions parentheses from the employee section of the home page should you use to pay the payroll taxes?
D.
D is correct. You're going to use the payroll liabilities, right? Straightforward. Right. Number 2, okay? Voucher style checks, okay, when used for processing payroll may contain what?
A as an apple.
A as an apple is correct. Earnings and tax withholdings, yes. If you remember, voucher style basically has your pay stub information at the very top, and at the very bottom gives you the actual check itself. Okay. Number 3, the payroll liabilities balance report identifies what?
B.
B is correct. Liability amounts by payroll item. Okay. Number 4, which statement is true?
A.
A, right? You can print pay stubs at any given time. Yes, right? It's not like you're required to do pay stubs every 2 per page, right? In this case, you can do 2 pay stubs per page, but that's, again, you don't want to stick too many pay stubs on one paper. And then see if you find any errors in the past paycheck. You should let me see, delete. Remember, we never delete. Okay. And then again, lastly, D says that you cannot void a paycheck. Yes, you can, but there are dangers and hazard things that you could do that could affect all the tax information if you do void a paycheck. All right, I already showed you another way to do it. Okay. Number 5, to begin processing your payroll.
Letter D.
Letter D, choose pay employees from the employee section of the home page. D is correct, right? To get it started, that's what you do, right? You pay your employees first. Okay. Number 6, QuickBooks automatically calculates paychecks using the information from all of the following, except
Is it accept the employee expense report? D.
D. For number 6 is correct. The employee's expenses report, right? In this case, that's irrelevant to anything, right? The amounts that all previous paychecks, yes, right? The year to date is important. And then the employees' current earnings shown, yes, of course. In order to be able to pay your employees, you need to have them currently working for you in their current statuses, okay? And the employee tax settings, yes. So if you remember, we set those employee tax settings, right, on their pages. That's what the W44 is for. Okay. Number 7. Okay. With a standard QuickBooks payroll subscription, okay, which forms cannot be printed directly from QuickBooks?
A.
A's.
D.
Okay,
I
so
said I say D.
D, all of the above can be printed if you have a standard QuickBooks payroll. Okay, so in this case, D is not correct. Okay, number 7 says it is A, where it says state payroll tax forms from most states. Once again, QuickBooks, even though it can identify all those states and figure out the state taxes for you, but unfortunately, again, per state is going to be on a per state individual basis, right? You're going to have businesses in other states. You can even have businesses in multiple states. So in this case, being able to print out those information is unavailable. Again, 940 is standard because that's the federal, and a W3 form, yes, that should be available. You'll be able to get any of these forms on directly from irs.gov, except for the state one. Okay. All right. Number 8, to correctly pay your payroll liabilities, choose one of the following options.
B.
B is correct, right? Use the scheduled liabilities section on the payroll center. In this case, it doesn't really say that the section is going to be scheduled, but below you would click view/pay. So that's this little word right here in context. You'll only find that when you go to the menu for employees, and it would have pay scheduled liabilities. So that one's a little confusing, but just to clarify, yes, B is the correct answer. Number 9, okay, number 9, wrong one. Number 9, the payroll summary report shows.
D.
D.
Number 9 is D. Good. Okay, the detail detail of each employee's hours, earnings, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Okay. Number 10, if the pay liabilities window shows incorrect taxes amounts due, the problem could be caused by.
I say A.
D.
D, all of the above is correct. Now, in this case, this section right here, I skipped over it. So again, it's a really small section. Again, you're responsible to read this on your own. But there is a section where you can adjust for any reasons that you have issues where your tax information does not add up, or for any reason that you accidentally voided a check. So once again, if you void a check, you cannot ever undo it. So for any reasons that you have discrepancies in those kind of tax information, yes, you can adjust it. And there's a small section, if you go under pay liabilities, there's a small section where it says allows you to, under the payroll center, it allows you to adjust accordingly. Okay, so A, incorrect user entry or payroll item rates. Okay, using the write checks to pay taxes. Yes, that's okay. The wrong way. And again, users overriding calculated taxes. Yes. So if you manually enter in your information in there, again, that could cause discrepancies. So again, if you do any of these, if you do any of these things, make sure that you adjust it accordingly. Okay. Number 11, to have data from the weekly timesheets, okay, affect an employee's paycheck. What do you do?
B.
This is number 10? 11.
Oh, sorry. Yes, number 11.
Okay, yes. Okay, you're going to select use timesheets to create the paycheck on the employee's record. Yes. Okay, so again, you can do it using the enter times, but again, you could just pay your employees by using the payroll pay employees tab, which just transfers all the information from the timesheet, okay, automatically for you. Okay. Number 12, what is shown in the company summary section of the preview paycheck window? So once again, this is kind of detailed information.
D as in David.
C is correct. Again, this is something you had to figure out on your readings. Okay, this is very detailed in regards to visual. You have to make sure that you actually take a look at this. But yes, it is C, the employer paid taxes and contributions. Yes. Okay. That's what shows up on the preview for the company summary section on the actual preview paychecks. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me see. You have employees and deductions. Oh, sorry. Earnings and deductions. Okay. Let me see. Insurance withheld from employees' checks, and then employer paid checks and contributions. Let me see. What is shown in the company settings? Okay. All right. What are we on? 13? Number 13. How do you pay a salaried employee to for vacation time?
Is it B?
B as in boy is correct. Okay, 13. B is incorrect. You're going to use the salary vacation payroll item, and then you just enter in the total amount of numbers that they collected. Yeah, so again, I showed you that example for Katie, right? In this case, when we processed the payroll for the first time, it was set standard that she was just going to get her salary. But because we added that line item that she earned vacation hours to, or she took vacation PTO, and it's paid, and then we just, the way that we measured it was based on how many hours did she take vacation for, or how many hours did she claim that week. So in this case, right, we did that by splitting up the hours, which calculated it properly on how much vacation time she earned, and so on and so forth. Okay. Last question we have here is question number 14. Every payday, okay, you should D, which is going to be verify that your tax tables are current and updated to if necessary. Okay, so good, right? Again, you create liability payments. You don't have to do that every paycheck, right? Because it could be set up for every quarterly, annually, however you set it up. So it doesn't have to be every payday. Process employees' W-2 forms. Again, usually that happens at the end of the year or whenever tax season is around. So usually you should get your W-2 forms at the beginning of the year in January. Okay. And then create payroll tax returns. Again, payroll tax returns, depending on what your company is, whether it's on a fiscal year or annual year, it will determine when you need to process that, but that is every year. Okay, not every payday. All right. Good job. All right. Any extra questions for payroll?